I am Marie Bell Beuselinck.
Yeah.
And I was born in Shanghai and came over in 1942.
1943.
1943.
40, yeah.
As a prisoner of war exchange with 1,500 Japanese from America. We landed in Goa, India, and changed ships. We were on the Japanese ship Tia Maru, and the Japanese from America were on the Gripsol. We got off the Japanese ship where they starved us, they had no food, and got onto the Gripsol luxury ship. And we had a big smorgasbord on board, and they handed out big Nestle chocolate bars to each one of us. Really? Remember, Tony?
Yeah.
I bet you forgot that.
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, no, you weren't.
Marie, could you
introduce him and I of the family?
Yeah. Could you introduce the people who are here with you today?
Oh, of course. Now, this is my big brother, Joe Bell. Joseph Vincent Bell. Is that right?
You got it right, Joe.
Today's his birthday. And he is number 6. My mother had 6 boys before she had her first girl.
Yeah, Lucille.
Yeah, and she was spoiled rotten. The first girl, Lucille. And then John was born.
Yeah. Right.
I can still see John playing football with Fukunze. You know who Fukunze is?
Yeah.
Who's Fukunze? The chauffeur's son. Our Chinese chauffeur's son. He and Fukunze were like this. And the chauffeur's son was on top of him. Bossed him.
And this other man to your left?
This is my younger brother. He is number... Are you 13? He is number 13. I am number 9. He is number 13.
And his name is?
Tony Mark Anthony.
Yeah.
That's right.
Remember? Yeah. Mark Anthony Bell.
Marie, can you tell us how many brothers and sisters you had?
I had 11 brothers and 5 sisters.
4 sisters.
No, there were... Oh, that's right, 4 sisters.
They're all gone. Except you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I almost died when I was a baby.
Yeah.
My first memory is my ama. Do you know what an ama is?
Tell us.
An is a Chinese nanny.
Chinese nanny.
A Chinese nanny. My mother had 5 Chinese nannies for the 5 babies. And we loved them more than our mother. Because she slept with us, fed us, did everything for us.
So she was like a second mother to you?
No, she was a mother.
Oh.
Ama. Yeah, and they slept with us in the same room. They did it, and that's how we learned Chinese, because they didn't speak English. And they talked to us in Chinese. So that's how we learned Chinese.
Marie, why did your parents have so many children?
Because they loved them. And in those days, you weren't allowed to abort.
There was no TV.
No, they could afford it. Why not?
What did your father do in Shanghai?
He owned property. And he owned maybe My brother Tony, can you tell it?
When he got married, he retired.
Oh, he retired long time ago.
No, when he got married.
Oh, yeah.
He owned half of Shanghai. And he
Yeah, he got to
was
16.
very, very smart. He didn't sell the houses. He built them and rented them out. So all he had was tenants and collected tenant money.
Marie, what was your house like in Shanghai?
A mansion.
Tell us about it.
Is it 35 room?
Something like that.
35 room mansion.
4 stories.
4 stories.
Yeah, it was a big house. It was a big house.
Yeah. We had room for everybody. Even priests.
And how many armors did you have in your house?
5 armors.
And how many servants?
35. 27, I think,
Yeah.
27 men servants and 35 in all.
And how many rooms did your house have?
35.
35. Wow.
And there was no basement. The basement was level with the ground because Shanghai soil is very soft, so they can't build down.
And they had an indoor swimming pool?
No, not indoor. Outdoor. In the yard.
Tennis court?
2 tennis courts, well, a grass one and a cement one.
And a glass enclosed swimming pool.
Oh, well, you know the swimming pool, in the winter it was a swimming pool, and in the winter time my dad had plants put in there because it had a roof, you know.
Marie, you had a lot of priests and nuns coming around to the house?
Yes, because they were missionaries from America, and they stopped at our house before they went into the interior.
Who was the first member of your family to settle in China?
Ed.
The first member of the family
Yes.
was my grandma Nellie Hooper. She was sent by the Anglican Church to be represented in China. And my father was born in 1881, and Nellie Hooper was older than my dad. And she was the first. Well, what happened was her father, Captain George Edward Bell, stopped in Macau and married a Cantonese girl. My grandmother was Cantonese, full Cantonese. She couldn't even speak English, even when I was alive. She had 4 sons. The first one was
John Augustus?
no,
John, Edward.
was it John? George.
No. John, Edward,
John,
Joe.
Edward,
George,
John, Edward,
Joe,
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 George,
George,
John,
Annie.
and Georgie.
George,
George.
Uncle George.
Yeah.
He died in prison camp.
Yeah. But he was a half brother because Grandpa Bell died, and she couldn't support the children, so she put the 4 boys in the orphanage, and they were raised by Jesuit priests. He and his brother had a lumber company in Portland, Oregon. They used to.
Saloma, Oregon.
Oh well.
Near Lincoln State.
Portland, Oregon, and also in California. And China.
A lumber company. Yes.
Yeah, they had
the two
in
brothers
China.
owned a lumber company in China.
The Shanghai building.
In Shanghai. Shanghai Building Company.
Shanghai building.
Yeah. Well, and in school you were taught by priests and nuns, or
Well, we were taught by the Loretta sisters from Kentucky. They came out as missionaries to teach the Chinese girls. And of course, we weren't Chinese, but
yeah. At the time, were you aware of how well off your father was?
no, we never put on airs.
But Shanghai at this time was really an unusual place. It attracted people from all over the world.
It's international.
Yeah, and who built fortunes. So were there other wealthy people in school?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you
From
didn't
other
feel-
countries, England,
Uh-huh.
and all that.
Yeah.
It was what's the word? Shanghai was
Cosmopolitan.
international.
International, yeah.
International.
International. Yeah, French concession.
And we lived in the
International.
French concession, which was still is a higher class than anybody else.
Right. What do you remember about your mother?
She was wonderful, but she didn't have to work.
Of course.
But she was my father's secretary. She could type shorthand, and she made up the letters and type with 2 fingers. Remember? 2 fingers.
And she was 10 years younger than her husband.
Yes,
What?
yes. Almost 10 years younger than
10
Dad.
years.
Huh?
10 years.
Yeah, that's what she said. 10 years younger. And what happened was my dad's best hunting pal, Uncle Vincent, he was best man at his
Wedding.
at his hunting pal's wedding. And she was my mother's older sister. And that's how my dad met Mum, met my mother.
You were living kind of an idyllic life. When did you first sense that something was about to change? I think the Japanese were there in Shanghai. When did you begin to notice that something was turning wrong in Shanghai?
Well, we never thought Japan would take over, because they used to come to our house and put stickers on everything, saying, "This is no longer yours. This belongs to the Japanese emperor."
6 months before Pearl Harbor, we knew something was happening, and my parents had arranged for us to come to the United States. We had booked passage on the ships, and it was delayed because Marie was sick in the hospital.
Right.
So they postponed it for another month, and then we were supposed to go the next month. Again, someone else was sick. We postponed the trip. The result was December 8th, not December 7th, December 8th took place, and the city of Shanghai had bombing activities, and there was an American ship and a British ship that were taken over by the Japanese Navy. That was on December 8th in Wusong Harbor. So on that date, we became prisoners of the Japanese, December 8th, 1941. And as a result, the Japanese sent a fellow by the name of Sato. But Sato was the Japanese representative, and he was, every morning he came to our house and had breakfast with us and everything. And he oversaw that we didn't take anything from the house out, because technically everything belonged to the Japanese government. And they kept us under sort of a house arrest until the Great China University was converted into a prison camp, and that's where we had to go. GCU, Great China University, in Chapei. And we called it the Chapei Civil Assembly Center.
We couldn't stop them. They were army people. They held guns. And I'll tell you something. they used to put these paper stickers on every furniture. By afternoon, the stickers all fell off, so he picked them up and put them all in one drawer. And you know, the Japanese couldn't speak English. They couldn't read or write. They were ignorant. They were, the majority of the people in China were illiterate, the Chinese, because they're too poor. They can't even have enough food to eat.
What was your father's reaction when they started putting stickers on your property?
Oh, they're stupid Japanese. Because they fell, you know. Remember how the stickers used to fall?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that my grandfather was scared.
He didn't. I don't think he believed it would happen. Impossible. And he had just come to the States.
So then
Just left with Paul, my brother Paul.
So then what happened?
How many went into prison camp with you?
Ed and Frank and Ag and Sheila and Dinny. I didn't count.
25?
No. And I had double cousins. They also went into prison. That's 5 of them. And Ed and Frank, Sheila.
There was quite a large contingent of Bells.
We were 18 in one room. 18 people in one, and it was an old school. So, average 4 families in one room, 4 different families. But since we were 18 of us, we occupied the whole room. So we were lucky that way.
And did they separate the men from the women?
No,
No. Okay.
they kept the families together. That was one thing. Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there only in camp 7 months.
Something like that.
7 months.
Was your father was there with you?
Yeah. We were all in that one. But then my father was in prison for 3 years.
He was considered a military age, so they kept him.
That's right. They wouldn't let military age come to America to fight the war against them. So they kept the men in there. So Ed, Frank, Ag, Sis begged to come to our camp because she was British, but she wanted to be with her sister Aggie. So they allowed her. We had to line up for everything, even to go to the bathroom.
But you enjoyed it, didn't you, Mom? Having the freedom of living in
Yeah, it was different. To me, you know, well, like they say, I was sick. I was dying before I went into camp. It's a miracle I survived.
Yeah, you really.
And they lived a very sheltered life. So.
I had dengue fever.
Yeah.
They were dropping like flies in Shanghai.
Yeah.
I was in a coma. And my mother had all the Catholic priests come and pray over me when they came to visit us. And the hospital was way out, like in Timbuktu. And the priests would come and they'd pray over me. And I was unconscious for 6 weeks. You know how I got out of it? Well, St. Teresa said to me, and they were all praying to St. Teresa. Do you know St. Teresa? Yeah, praying to St. Teresa for me because my name is Marie Therese. And in my delirium, St. Teresa appeared to me. And she says, Marie, do you want to come to heaven? I says, not yet. I woke up. Did you know that? Isn't that something? Look at me, still here. The women had to do scullery work. Sit in the kitchen and peel potatoes or what. It wasn't too much. And do that every morning. People. And my cousin, she was in charge. See what happened when we went to prison? They got all the American school teachers in prison. And because the teachers were in prison, they decided to teach us. I graduated in prison. A boy and me.
His name is?
Charlie Posner and me. In camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. They know. They know.
Did you have much contact with the Japanese when you were in prison?
No, because school teachers ran the camp. My father was a policeman in the camp. We all had duties, you see. Yeah. And then when they had the exchange, Daddy was going to get on the ship. He was starting to get on the bus to go with us to America. And they pulled him off because they didn't like Dad, my father. And poor guy, that was awfully hard on him. He was there for 3 years. Who brought him? Joe brought him. Joe, you brought him home, didn't you?
What'd you do?
You released Daddy from prison.
He said, what the hell? You were supposed to be something. I was in the hospital in Barrie. So they said something happened to me in Barrie. I wasn't supposed to be alive, or I don't know what they didn't know. But when he saw me, he recognized me. I was in uniform. I was a jumper. And I went right in. I picked up my 45, and they had a Japanese guard. And I was ready to shoot it.
Oh.
No, I went right in and asked where Dad was. They knew who he was. And he got Ed, Frank, and the kid, and we all piled in this car. And we went to the main house. And the main house had the servants, the old servants, some of the servants there.
Yeah.
What happened, the Japanese colonel took over the whole area, that building and everything, and kept the servants to look after the house. We had a house, nice house. We had 2 tennis courts, 1 cement, 1 lawn. We had our own swimming pool. We had a stable for horses and cows.
That's right.
And we had
Everything.
it was very interesting. But that's another long story.
That house is now dedicated as the red brick house. And if you go to the computer and say Shanghai and red brick house, it'll get you right to that house.
Oh, I'll tell you what happened when we made the exchange. 2 ships. We were on the Japanese prison ship with no food. And the Americans, the Japanese from here, were on the Gripsome, the luxury liner. Well, we starved on this ship. And when we landed, the 2 ships pulled up together in Goa, India. And we got onto the Gripsome, and they got onto the Japanese ship. And we felt sorry for the Japanese from America, because the Japanese didn't have any food, and they were used to luxury here. They had white boots for their children, beautiful clothes, beautiful luggage, and here we were, nothing. And we had the nuns, American nuns, and American priests, and every night they sang a song to Our Lady to guide us. And we never had a rough night at all.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were on the ship 3 months.
That's how they got by the submarines, German submarines, so they didn't sink the ship.
And the ocean was mined
Yes,
because of the
that's
Japanese.
why we had to go
Yeah.
around
Mine.
the world.
Yeah, the ocean.
Across Atlantic.
And when they got on the grip zone, what happened? Smorgasbord time,
All the
right?
Brits when you came to the States.
Yeah, but
but
we were starving, you know. But when we got on the grip zone, here they had a big smorgasbord. You know what a smorgasbord is?
Yeah.
And there was a fella handing us, each one of us, a big bar of Nestle's chocolate. Each one of us. Can you believe? We landed, and they put us in a hotel, the Van Cortlandt Hotel, a flea-bitten place in New York. And they found us this house in Detroit, 2-bedroom house, and I think there was about 9 of us in it. They had to take turns to sleep in the beds. One worked nights, so he wouldn't sleep. He'd sleep there during the day, and at night somebody else would sleep there. I had a brother, Barney,
Barney, that's right.
Uncle Barney. He was a tool and die man. He inspected tools. He got me my first job
inspecting.
inspecting airplane parts. And the mechanics were all outside, and we women were all caged, so the men couldn't get to us. I was going on 20. Yeah. And so I was an inspector, and of course Barney saw me all the time, and he got me the job. I got paid $1 an hour. That's a lot in those days. And of course money went to Mom. But anyhow, and I felt very proud that I could do this. I filled applications out before, and this came, and on that application, what did he say?
Marital status.
Marital status. I know what status is. It's height. What's marital? So I didn't know what it was. So I put down medium.
You got the job.
And they hired me. And they hired the lady that drove me because I worked nights.
And they all ran down there to see who was marital status medium.
What do you say?
I don't understand. I don't understand myself.
And Joe,
To fill out the application, I didn't know the word marital.
Yeah.
And it said status. I knew what status was. So I put down medium. They hired me. And the lady that took me.
How about that time you were at the dinner table
What?
and we asked you who you were talking to, and it was a Chinese ambassador that had a house. He had an apartment, and he had a girl that lived with him, and she said she's an incubator. Talking to the incubator.
I forgot that. You know
Did
what
she
that
mean concubine?
concubine.
Yeah, that's what she thought. But that's a big word for her. Incubator. I remember that.
And she's not even blonde.
At the supper table.
She's a redhead.
and Joe, when you came back from the war, did you go to Detroit? Where did you come back after the war?
I could Detroit, yeah, Fort Dix and Detroit, and then I drove with a car to San Jose and worked a little bit. Then I rode back with a motorcycle all the way back to Detroit, and I got married. That was That was the end of my life.
You know,
How about you, Uncle John? What did you do after the war? Where did you go?
Oh, it was right in Shanghai.
Okay. Then
No,
you
not
come back-
Shanghai.
Oh,
you know what?
What?
You remember that?
Huh?
You remember that incubator?
Yeah, now that you mention that. But anyway,
Long time no see. Nah, we've been.
So, did you come straight back to San Jose?
I
Did you
came
go to New
right
York?
back to San Jose. Yes, and
After
we
the war.
stayed at
very true. And I had
on
to
Fifth
teach her everything.
Fifth Street. Did we have a Fifth Street? Fifth Street.
Fifth Street, yeah.
And then we had a Third Street.
Governor Barnett's house.
Yeah, we lived in Governor Burnett's house. You
Yeah.
know that San Jose was
Yeah.
the first capital of California? And the governor lived in that house. It was his house. But anyway, now.
But then Grandma went to church and
then
saw a
Grandma
house
went
for
to
sale.
church. And she wanted to move closer and closer. So what Grandma was so smart. She bought the house at something like 5,000. She sold it for 10,000 and bought the other house. She bought that house and sold it at a profit another 5,000. That's how she got some money. And Father Moore, the Jesuit priest that came with us, he advanced it because he knew Grandpa had lots of money in China. And my mother never had to pay for anything, pay him back till after Dad came to America. So you see how good it is to have priests?
Yeah.
They're good. They're powerful. And Father Gehrig, you know, the
Yeah.
Angel.
hero of Guadalcanal, he was our house guest. And he did a lot of arranging for us, helping us. And when we came to America, we had this American friend of my brother Paul's, Becky. Remember Becky?
Yeah, Paul.
Sailor.
Yeah, Sailor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
The
Becky,
king and the beast.
King of the Beast.
It was.
Becky used to come to the house because Audrey was 4 years old, and he always said, Audrey's my sister. He always said, you know, I came from an orphanage in Detroit. In fact, my sister and her husband are the laundry people at the orphanage. What's the name of the orphanage? What was it?
I don't know.
What was the name of the orphanage?
I don't.
Audrey.
Oh, my, you don't know.
Audrey.
I think it was St. Joseph's, I think.
Anyway, this orphanage. And when we landed in America, we were such a big family, the Catholic Social Service didn't know where to put us. It was Christmas time. The orphanage was kind of empty. So they put us in Becky's orphanage where he was raised. My mother got to the door, and this man came walking down the corridor with his hand out. And my mother said, Becky. He said,
Betty.
I'm Becky's brother of all the orphanages.
Yeah.
So you see, we were taken care of. And I was my mother's oldest child. And Mama didn't know how to do anything except type and do business. I had to show her how to cook. She never cooked. At home, she used to tell the Chinese. She'd have the book, cooking book, and she'd read it and translate it in Chinese to the
Fanny
cook.
Farmer.
Fanny Farmer cookbook. Okay, enough.
Now keep going.
And let's. How did you meet your husband, Murray?
Husband. Yeah.
Actually,
George.
actually, it was a good deed. what happened was, you know the McCarthys from Los Angeles, Dan, that used to,
And
his
Julia.
wife used to teach us in the summertime in Shanghai, in Tsingtao. You know the McCarthys,
Yeah.
they lived in it. Well, the daughter was coming up to San Jose to have a good time, and she was 18. In fact, you danced with her
Yeah.
at the USO.
USO, yeah.
Sheila.
That's right, the USO. Yeah.
So they said, they're sending her up here for Christmas. I said, Mom, I don't go out. I didn't know anything. What can I do to entertain her? So just then, there's an ad in the paper saying, for the Christmas dance, we need some hostesses to dance with the servicemen. I said, good. I'll take her there. We danced every night.
You and Nellie.
Nellie.
And how did you meet George?
Well, he was away for Christmas, and he was on shore patrol. He was in charge of the sailors, you know. He took the bad ones to the
Moffett Field.
Buffett there. Anyway, he came back for after Christmas, and he was on shore patrol. So I saw him. Nellie and I were at the. I asked him, "Do you think you can walk us home?" That's how I met him. You know how long I knew him before I married him? 3 months. 3 months.
And why did he want to marry you, Marie?
I don't know.
You told him, you gave him an ultimatum, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I didn't want to horse around with him if he wasn't serious.
She said, are you going to marry me or not? And he said,
I
okay.
won't go with a guy and waste my time. That's what the girls should do.
And when you were at the USO,
Long time.
what did the other girls at the USO
Oh, they were
call
so
you?
jealous because
Yeah.
he was their favorite.
Yes. He looked like Clark Gable.
He was good looking.
And they used to call you guys the refugees.
Yeah, they were jealous of
They
us.
were jealous of the refugees.
Yeah, I go. But we didn't care. We had our family.
And at that time, you were working in San Francisco, is this correct?
Yes, I was working. My sister and I, through Father Gehring,
Yeah.
got us a job working. My sister Nellie worked for the maitre d'. You know that, the one who prepares all of the food in St. Francis Hotel. And then they found me a job being what?
Hat check girl.
A hat check girl.
And you were doing billing? Billing, credit, bills.
I worked for the crediting department. Dan London, I worked for the boss. He hired me. Oh, and they had their first UN meeting there. I was there.
And who was there?
Molotov.
The Russian guy.
You know the three big Russian big shots? They were on they walked up the steps. Yeah, and Father Moore used to get
Oh, yeah.
free train tickets, a pass, a whole month's pass on the train, going and coming. And when he didn't go to San Francisco anymore, he gave my mother the book,
Yeah.
so we could go free.
And what street did you live on? Steiner Street?
Yes,
The Mrs. Doubtfire house?
yeah. You know, did you see the movie Mrs. Doubtfire? Well, that house we lived in. We lived in that house.
Okay, and so, and what did you do? You worked for food machinery or canning company?
Oh,
During the summer
when we
months?
came to California, we got summer jobs right away in the
Cannery.
fruit cannery.
Oh.
We worked in the cannery, and we worked nights, and we got $1 an hour because we worked nights.
And you used to sort?
Oh, and they put me in the American Can Company, which was right opposite the cannery. And I used to have to wooden fork with, I think, 12 things like that.
12 cans.
And I'd have, the cans would come down on a belt. And I had to stick my fork into the moving cans and stack them in boxcars.
Tell us about living with a big family, everybody. 16 children. Was it a lot of fun?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well,
Tony?
well, then lived
Joe?
Exciting.
Exciting?
Every day.
How about you, Joe?
Do you like living with 16?
Do you like having 16 brothers and sisters?
Yeah, living in that big house, the big house.
Yeah.
The big house was a
Yeah.
big
I
house.
lived before they built that house.
Oh,
Yeah.
how many kids was
So
there?
you guys
How
have
many
done
kids was there?
hunting, fishing,
Quite a few
Yeah.
kids.
partying together. All
Yeah.
the kids grew up together. It's great, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Big family is the best.
Yeah, it's a long time. All gone.
Oh, we're still here. So.
Yeah, it's all gone.
It's the next generation's turn.
Generation gone.
That's right.
But
Just
you
like the
have to have
Depression.
16.
It's gone.
So,
Would you all go back to China if you wanted to?
no, because
No.
it's not the same.
Not the same?
No.
I would like to go. Maybe I will go.
Like to go and visit?
I'll go to. Well,
No,
See?
you
I'll
get
take
to
my
be
son
out.
with him, and
No.
he'll enjoy it.
They get
Yeah.
to be
I
out.
go look.
How about you, Tony?
No.
Would you go back to China?
No.
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 How about you,
America.
John?
No.
No.
When we hit America,
Shanghai is really big.
Yes,
Oh, it's
very big.
Shanghai.
Putung, we used to go hunting on Putung side. Putung side had ice houses and rice. No houses there. My friend Emmy Castrillo had a house. He had a race course for ponies. His ponies racing.
Yeah.
It's very vacant. Now it's all built up. Oh.
Yeah. Well, you know, you still have that house over there, and you can get it back if you want.
Yeah.
for
It's all
Nobody
bad.
wants it, huh?
It's bad.
Nobody speaks the Shanghai dialect anymore.
They
No.
don't speak English.
No, they do? I don't know about that.
I doubt.
speak
I
to some
doubt.
people
I doubt.
in the
This sounds-
Shanghai
this sounds
dialect.
No more.
No, don't go there.
Tony,
What's the question?
what's the question? Would you take back the Shanghai house if you could?
No.
Too much
If
trouble.
we could get the house back and live
No.
somewhat independently, yes. But right now, with the situation it is, no.
No. Yeah. I agree.
That's when Daddy got out.
Yeah.
Thank them all for being here.
Oh, we thank you all for being here. And happy birthday, boys.
Happy
And,
birthday.
you.
you can
Happy
try one
birthday.
on tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Some Tsingtao beer.
Happy birthday.
We're going to have some cake. We didn't have any cake.
Dad,
Yeah, we
Dad,
wait- wait
everybody
goodbye.
Okay,
wait.
let's,
Wave goodbye.
everybody wave bye-bye. Ni hao.
Bye.
你好啊，好啊。
Ding haw, ding haw. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Question: would you guys like to have some cake?
Okay.
Let-
That. Big advocates, huh? Wow.
Hey,
Thank you. Now, I hope you heard it all. I hope it recorded.
Look at his eyes. He's glazed over. He doesn't
You got a lot of furniture over here. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
more normal.
Crazy. It's crazy. But he'll edit it out. I hope.
But it's only when people.
I'll help you. Yeah, yeah.
Go
Lily's
ahead.
Treasures.
this far.
Yeah.
It was printed.
Oh, you are?
Published through
But
Oh,
Amazon
I can't
Books.
use the phone.
to do that.
Lily, so I can't use the phone.
Oh, but your daughter
Yeah,
wrote
I
a
can
story
hear.
about
So
you
I
guys
like to
coming
hear.
from China.
I can hear
Didn't you ever read it?
noise, but I can't hear this.
Sure.
I like to see what they said.
All right.